the main struggles and maybe problems that we had before using Producer were actually that all our documents regarding projects, like in pre-production or whatever, budgets, time schedules, they were all like, I don't know, everywhere on Google Docs and drives and whatsoever. So you had different folders for different projects, etc. So everyone had to know where to find which document, and is it done or is it not done? Do we have to do something there, or is it fixed? So that took up a lot of time to really get organized in terms of pre-production. We're only three people, so it's we're pretty fast if something was missing or something like that. But for sure, we had the issues that someone was maybe not finding the document, and you thought, oh, but I saved it there, but it's kind of not there, and maybe it was the wrong folder. So we had that, definitely, yes. Well, I think it's safe to say that when we discovered Producer, or when we were starting to work with Producer, it was actually, we were pretty confident because it seemed very professional, and it seemed trustworthy. So we needed a solution for this issue that we had with all those documents flying around in our drives. And with Producer, we actually didn't have many concerns. Of course, there's this, okay, can I import the data that I already have on a certain project and stuff like that. But the tool gives you, the possibility to do that in a very simple way and in a very efficient way. So that was not really a concern. That was just, I think everyone has that if they're changing programs or whatever. Yes, but it seemed from the beginning on, it seemed trustworthy, and Producer changed the way we work, or the day as a film producer, in the terms that before we were all like involved in certain categories, in like, okay, you're organizing the props and you're doing this and you're doing that. And through Producer, we could actually increase productivity in terms of, okay, you only need one person to combine all the data, because you have everything on one program. So if someone needs an information, they can just go to the program, start it up, and they have everything in like one tab or two, three tabs. So what it did do is that we had more time for other things, like customer acquisition, or having another challenge in a maybe more creative part of the production, so someone can focus on that, because it was not that, okay, all the sorry, I'm missing the word.
We can
It
cut it.
Yeah, it was not that all the factors of the pre-production are like scattered around, but it's just at like one person could focus on the pre-production because it was so easy to do. So in that way, Producer helped us a lot. It actually did. Producer did help us in our pitching process, because when you're pitching for let's say a TV spot or something like that, you could label your storyboard with your brand, and you could give your personal touch to it. It was even easier for the clients to understand, oh, okay, this would be the voiceover part, and that's just a director's note or a description of the scene, in which you're just faster doing a storyboard or creating a storyboard for a pitch with Producer. And if you're doing a Google Docs, you have to write everything down, and maybe you miss a word. And through Producer, you could prevent that. I would say Producer saved the most time for us in terms of pre-production, because you have, of course, this organizational part of pre-production, and you have the creative part. And what we didn't have is, if I had a question on the on the organization, I would have to ask somebody, hey, can you send me that document, or is it somewhere? And with like, while working with Producer, I knew that I could find everything in like one spot. And the cool thing is, if I would have made adjustments like on the organizational part or on the time schedule, it would be automatically, it would change something maybe on the storyboard or something. So everything is connected. So it was pretty efficient, for us to work with producer in terms of planning and organizing. We started using producer, it was that let's say we encounter a project and we have like somebody that requests a project or a pitch from us. So we sat down, the three of us, and then we brainstorm. Okay, what could we do? What could be the concept of the thing? Then we write it down somewhere, maybe on a piece of paper or on, as I said, Google Docs or whatever. And then someone would, we would say, okay, Nicholas, you do the storyboard, and Nikki, you do the the voiceover for it, and I'll do the budget for the project. So everybody was working and not knowing what was the other person doing, right? And then we sat down together again, and then we knew, okay, so you calculated this, but I was thinking of this, right? So we didn't actually know what was the other person doing during the process. And so it was a bit, not so, the overview was not so good, and producer changed that, of course. Producer has actually increased or helped our creative process in terms of, if I, as a director, or if I wrote the concept of something and I have it laid down in producer, and we have already done the scheduling part and everything. So, and if I might change, or I look at the concept and I think, oh, maybe this way is still better, or I want to change the the sequence of something, it is very easy to do. So I don't have to worry about, oh, I might start a really big workflow there if changing, this one little sequence, because everything adjusts itself through, the interconnectivity. So that was actually a very big plus for our creativity, because we didn't need to, worry or have to fear, oh, if I change something on the concept, everything else would change. So that's how it helped us. Yes, we're definitely living in a world where filmmaking is a lot of people have the ability, or the resources to start, and as film producers or filmmakers. Of course, the levels are different. There's some people who are doing smaller things, other people are doing bigger things, but there are a lot more producers or videographers or cinematographers than, let's say, 20 years ago or 15 years ago. So that has changed a lot, and it is a very competitive business, for sure. And I think what producer does is the efficiency and the possibility to communicate very exact to the customer, and also the customer experience, because you can share your first rough cut or second rough cut and your picture logs and your final deliveries with the customer on the same platform, and they can give you the feedback. So it is a very what is the word?
Convenient.
Convenient, but einheitlich. It's
Unified.
Yeah, right. So it's a very unified way of communication for the client to see what your level of professionalism is, because you can always share your video files, and one time you do it via Swiss transfer, and the other time it's via WeTransfer, and then it's a Google Drive link or whatever. So through that unification of your communication, I think that triggers or increases your level of proficiency, and how you communicate to your client is one of the most important things. So speaking from from the eyes of a producer, I think it's the call sheet, the ability to have everything laid out, the time schedule, which is dependent on the storyboard, and then the call sheet where you can just, with a few clicks, you can schedule your whole day. You can write down the nearest hospital, the contact details. You can add your crew list, which is already, set. So for me as a producer who is important or here for the schedules and the organizational part, producer is like a I don't know, it's like a treasure, because it is so much easier for me to have an overview for a whole project, and my time investing in pre-production has like decreased around 50% because I'm so fast with all the small clicks and have a whole call sheet there. And before it was always this Excel and then Google Docs and whatever. And now I can, just click, 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 and I have a whole call sheet.
I love
I mean, we've been here for more than a bit like 2 years now. So we actually had the growth of around like in numbers of productions around 100%. So we did double the projects last year than we did in the first year, which is like huge for us. And we hope, of course, that this year continues the same way. Um, and I mean, the projects are not only growing in numbers, but also in like in dimension and in budgets. And the bigger the project, the bigger the part of organization and um, the more important is the communication, right? So I think producer will help us definitely because our projects will be getting bigger year for year, and the tool is expandable, right? It's not that it's limited for just short projects or middle big projects. So, and that's why it's something that will always, be there for us as a tool. The bigger the projects gets, that's the better that we have the tool. So to a production company who's not yet using producer, I would say that they need to wake up and get into the modern world of film making and film producing, because I think it's an essential tool for every film production. Uh, doesn't matter which size, doesn't matter which size of projects you're doing. I think it's essential for every step: pre-production, post-production, production, whatever that is that you're doing or specified in. Yeah, I think there's no need to have a concern or worry. You can try it out, and if you don't like it, you don't like it, right? But you don't have to. You're not losing anything if you just give it a chance and try it out. Before we started using producer and working with producer, we had issues with communicating right internally, just from me to the director or from director to the DP. And after we started using producer, we noticed that actually, let's say 5 of 10 projects were seamlessly, like flawless, in the pre-production, of course, because we also had our routine, but also because we knew that the communication is so simple with producer, right? And you have everything on one spot. So that helped us a lot. If we can work, um, if we have the ability through producer to work efficiently or more efficiently, and have more leverage in creativity, it benefits the client directly, right? Like in the product that we are doing. So in that way, of course, you could say that the client retention has improved. It's just difficult for me to say by how much, or do you. Maybe another thing is that as a startup, as a film production startup, we have to reach out to clients. We have to reach out to people that don't know us. So through that time that we can spare now in when we're working on projects, we have more time to reach out to clients. So producer is actually also linked directly to the growth of our company, right? Because we can take out more time to invest in client acquisition and how do we want to market ourselves, which are thoughts that a lot of startups don't even have in the beginning because they're so caught up in the projects that they're working on. So producer definitely helped us, increase our growth directly too. How I started as a filmmaker is actually a pretty funny story because it was never the intention to do so. I was actually working on music and I was working in a fundraising company. And actually my pretty like the closest friend I have, Nikki, he was in the same room, working on some film projects, and I was working on my music stuff. And one time we, had possibility to do a video for my employer back then. And then I said, I know somebody who does that. And he was like, all right, maybe we can do it together. You can, plan it and organize it because you know the guys. So we did that project together. And then he asked me on the way back home, hey, me and Niklas, we are thinking about, founding a film production, and maybe you want to join in because you can organize stuff and you're good at that. And then it was pretty much a gut feeling. I was not really into film. I loved film, and I loved acting and stuff because I was playing sometimes in theaters, stage plays and stuff. So I thought, hey, why not? Seems kind of fun. And then we started out. So it's pretty much a gut feeling that just said, hey, you should try it out. And now I'm here. Like before, we had, we didn't really know what is the communication, let's say, for example, after a project is done filming, like if we're done filming, what comes afterwards, right? We were aware just through the education of Nicholas and Nikki at their film production companies that there are some steps and maybe you need some feedback and stuff like that. But producer gave us, like a good overview around, or like producer gave us a good overview from the beginning through the end. So not only the first few steps and then the production and then the few steps afterwards, but okay, so you start with the storyboard, you get it, accepted by the client, then you start working on the organizational part of the production, then you have the production. After the production, you have the first rough cut, you have the second rough cut, then you have the picture lock, and then you have the final version, right? So of course it differs from client to client sometimes, but producer gave us that, that structure that we didn't have. So definitely it has an educational part to it.